Wow.
I do the play-by-play broadcasting and also the team services.
What advice would you give somebody that wants to become a broadcaster?
Broadcast anything and everything, even if it's at home and no one is watching or listening. Repetition is key, and so I would do whatever you can do to get in front of a microphone, even if it's just a phone at home.
Who gave you your biggest opportunity to start to get where you are today?
I would probably say a man by the name of Marty Miele. He was a Des Moines Buccaneers Hall of Fame player. He was actually a coach of mine, college hockey, and he knew that I was wanting to go into broadcasting when I graduated. And he learned that the Des Moines Buccaneers had an opening. They were moving on from the broadcaster prior to when I moved in there, and I would have never known about the job, would have never applied for it, would have never reached out without Marty. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for Marty because he was a big part of me ever stepping into this world.
What was it like being the Buccaneers broadcaster?
It was couldn't have picked a better place to start my really professional, if you want to call it that, career of broadcasting. Coming out of school just a year, I had always dreamed of being a part of the USHL as a player, and it was actually even more enjoyable for me as a broadcaster to get to do it. And I enjoyed my years with the Bucs, and it was a perfect launching pad to obviously get me here, moving downtown from Buccaneer Arena to Wells Fargo Arena.
What was your favorite memory of broadcasting?
Ever?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a tough one. I would probably say last year in Texas, it was as dramatic as it ever could have been. It was the Wild needed to win at least one game to get in, and they had to find a way to get to overtime the opening night. Broadcasters dream of getting a win or go home type game like that, and we got two of them down in Texas, and those stories are very easy to tell, and I know it's a recent memory, but that's probably the one that stands out most to me. It was a weekend I'll never forget. The Wild did get 3 points that they needed, and they did make playoffs because of that very memorable trip to Austin, Texas.
What is your most memorable call that you have?
Most memorable call. Well, I think probably one of my favorite calls. I've actually gotten to call 2 goalie goals, which is pretty rare to even see one, let alone call one, and I've been blessed to call 2. Roman Durney did one, I think it was 2019, with the Des Moines Buccaneers.
Center, and so it will stay 1-0 as Durney going for the goal himself. Could this be it for Roman Durney? He does it! Roman Durney does it! He scores an empty net goal!
And then Jesper Volstead did one against the Chicago Wolves last year in Chicago. So
now Lazois goes in on Volstead. He'll play it and go for the empty net. Jesper Volstead does it! Jesper Volstead, as if he hasn't done enough tonight, has just scored an empty net goal with 32.6 seconds to play. He has done it all.
2 pretty memorable moments there to get to be a part of something that just rarely happens in hockey.
What does a day in life look like for you as a broadcaster?
Well, I wish it was more broadcast focused on a game day, but there's a lot of team services responsibilities that come in with that too. But I will tell you that any good broadcaster is better prepared. It's all about preparation. It is all about making sure you know your stuff. It's all about making sure that you have done as much homework as you possibly can to be ready for it. So it's a lot of studying. It's a lot of looking up players online, talking to players that may know that player, talking to coaches that may have coached that player. If you're lucky, you can learn a story or two about players that either you're going to be calling for the opposing team that night or, of course, your team, our team in the Iowa Wild. It's a lot of homework, a lot of diligence. Some days you don't get to put quite as much effort into it as you'd like on the homework side, but that's where hopefully you can lean on maybe homework from days past to get you through the night. But you have to be prepared. Preparation is absolutely integral to doing a good broadcast, and so my days of preparing for a broadcast are loaded with a lot of homework.